You know what real power looks like? It's not in how loud you speak. It's not in how much you own. It's in how calm you remain when everything around you is trying to shake you. The world will test you. People will misunderstand you, criticize you, even doubt you. But when you train your mind to stay unbothered, you become unstoppable, because the one who's in control of their emotions controls their world. Most people react, they get triggered, they explode, they drain their own energy. But not you. You're here to learn how to rise above the noise. You're here to master the art of peace in chaos. You're here to train your mind to stay powerful, centered, and unshakable, no matter what comes your way. Because when nothing outside of you can disturb what's inside of you, that's when you become truly free. Let me tell you something powerful. Everything you've ever wanted to change, every breakthrough you've ever dreamed of begins inside you. You can't fix the world if you're at war with yourself. You can't create peace on the outside if there's chaos in your mind. And most people are walking around trying to control everything. Their job, their relationships, the economy, their partner, their boss, their future. And they forget the one thing that's actually within their power, their state of mind. That's where mastery begins. Mastering your inner world before you try to control the outer one. Because the truth is, the outer world is always going to be unpredictable. People are going to disappoint you. Circumstances will shift. Life will throw curveballs you didn't see coming. But the one thing that never changes, the one thing you always have a say in, is how you show up, how you think, and how you choose to feel. So many people live like emotional yo-yos, up when things go their way, down when they don't. They're happy when they get approval, miserable when they don't. They're calm when life is easy, but they lose their power when life tests them. That's not strength. That's reaction. That's living at the mercy of the outside world. But what if you flip that? What if instead of being controlled by what happens, you controlled the meaning you give to what happens? Because meaning equals emotion, and emotion equals life. The moment you decide to own your meaning, you take back your power. You stop saying, they made me feel angry. No, you chose anger because you interpreted their words in a certain way. You stop saying, this situation is stressing me out. No, you decided to focus on what's wrong instead of what's within your control. That's where emotional mastery begins. Realizing nothing has meaning until you assign it one. I remember coaching someone who said, I just want peace. But how can I stay peaceful when everyone around me is negative? And I told them, you're making your peace dependent on their chaos. You're giving away your emotional keys. You can't let someone else's storm decide your forecast. When you master your inner world, you walk through other people's storms with your umbrella up and your soul dry. Training yourself to be unbothered doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care so deeply about your energy, your focus, your purpose, that you refuse to let negativity rent space in your mind. It means you choose where your attention goes, because where focus goes, energy flows. When you stop feeding your fears, your frustrations, your need for control, and start feeding your clarity, your gratitude, your strength, that's when life begins to change. Think about it. Every time you get upset, you drain energy from the part of you that could be building, creating, growing. Every time you let anger take over, you rob your future of power. But when you control your state, when you pause, breathe, and respond instead of react, you conserve that energy, you store it, you redirect it into something useful. That's what high performers do. They don't waste their energy trying to manage other people's emotions. They manage their own. It's not about pretending life doesn't hurt. It's about understanding that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You can experience frustration and still be centered. You can feel disappointment and still be grateful. You can have fear and still move forward. That's what mastery looks like. Not perfection, but awareness and choice. The real battle isn't happening out there. It's happening in here, in your mind, your emotions, your focus. And every time you choose calm over chaos, presence over panic, power over reaction, you're winning that battle. You're rewiring your nervous system to stay strong under pressure. You're teaching your subconscious that peace isn't found in control. It's found in surrendering to what you can't change and mastering what you can. When you truly get this, you start noticing something extraordinary. The world doesn't suddenly get easier, but you get stronger. People don't stop being difficult, but you stop being triggered. Problems don't disappear, but your relationship with them transforms. You become the calm in the storm. You become the grounding force in a room full of noise. And that's when life bends in your favor, not because it changed, but because you did. So train yourself every single day to win the inner battle first. Because when you master your inner world, the outer world follows. Every day, life gives you hundreds of opportunities to react. Someone cuts you off in traffic, a coworker says something disrespectful, your plans fall apart, or technology decides to fail at the worst possible time. And what do most people do? They react, they explode, they complain, they spiral. They hand over their emotional power to whatever or whoever triggered them. But here's the truth. Reacting is easy. It's automatic. It's what your mind does when you're not in charge. The real strength, the real mastery is in choosing your response. There's a moment, a split second between what happens and how you respond to it. And in that moment lies all your power. Most people never pause long enough to find it. They live on autopilot, repeating emotional patterns that were programmed years ago. They don't realize that every reaction is a decision made without awareness. But when you bring consciousness into that space, when you stop and breathe before responding, you're no longer a slave to your emotions. You're the director of your life. It's not about being emotionless. It's about emotional intelligence. It's about knowing when to channel that energy into something productive instead of destructive. When you react, you give control to the situation. When you respond, you take it back. And that's the difference between living as a victim of your emotions and living as the master of them. Think about it. How many times have you said something in anger that you later regretted? How many times did you let one bad moment ruin an entire day? That's what reaction does. It multiplies the problem. But when you respond with awareness, you change the direction of that moment. You stop feeding the chaos. You shift from being reactive to being creative. And creation is where transformation begins. I remember talking to a man once who said, "I can't help it. I just have a short temper." I looked at him and said, "You don't have a short temper. You have an untrained mind, because every reaction is a habit, and habits can be retrained. You don't train your mind by avoiding triggers. You train it by using those triggers as opportunities to grow. Every time you're tested, every time someone pushes your buttons, it's life handing you a workout for your emotional muscles. You can either react and stay weak, or you can respond and grow stronger. When you begin to respond instead of react, something incredible happens. Your peace stops depending on people, circumstances, or outcomes. You stop being emotionally hijacked by every little thing. You start realizing that most of the time, it's not the event that hurts you. It's the story you tell yourself about it. Someone cuts you off. That's an event. But when you say, "They disrespected me," that's a story, and that story creates your emotion. Change the story, change your state. Training yourself to respond consciously is like building a muscle. At first, it's hard. You'll catch yourself slipping, you'll react, and afterward you'll think, "I should have handled that better." That's okay. That's progress. Awareness is the first step. The next step is practice. The more you pause, breathe, and choose your reaction, the faster your brain learns a new pattern. And soon you'll notice that situations that used to trigger you don't even touch you anymore. That's when you know you're in control. Sometimes responding means walking away. Sometimes it means smiling when you want to scream. Sometimes it means saying nothing, because peace speaks louder than anger. But make no mistake, every time you choose your response, you're rewriting your identity. You're saying, "I am not defined by what happens to me. I am defined by how I respond to it." That's freedom. And let's be real, people will test that. The world will test that. You'll have days where you feel like nothing's working, where people push every button you've got. But those are the days you need this the most, because the goal isn't to control everything around you. It's to remain unshakable no matter what happens around you. When you stop reacting and start responding, you create space to think, space to choose, space to stay aligned with your purpose. That space is power. That space is peace. That space is where transformation lives. You can't change what life throws at you, but you can always decide how you'll throw back. And that decision, that one conscious choice in the middle of chaos, is what separates those who crumble from those who rise. So every time life challenges you, remember this pause, breathe, and choose. Because in that moment, you're not just responding to the world, you're training yourself to master it. Let me tell you something powerful. The fastest way to lose yourself is to live for the opinions of others. The world is filled with noise. Everyone has something to say about who you should be, how you should act, what success should look like, and what dreams are realistic. But here's the truth. If you spend your life chasing approval, you'll never find peace. Because approval is a moving target. You please one person and another will criticize you. You do everything right and someone will still find something wrong. You can't win that game because that game was designed to keep you small. The moment you let other people's opinions control your emotions, you've handed them the remote control to your life. And the crazy thing is most people do it without even realizing it. They're constantly checking, what will they think? Will they like this? Will they approve? And the more you do that, the further you drift from your vision. You stop living from your truth and start living from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of not fitting in. But here's the breakthrough: you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out. You were meant to create, to express, to grow into the fullest version of yourself. You don't need permission for that. You don't need applause. You need clarity, clarity about who you are and where you're going. When you're clear on your purpose, other people's opinions stop mattering. You stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, am I living in alignment with who I'm meant to be? The truth is, no one can see your vision the way you do. They weren't given your dreams for a reason. They don't feel your fire. They don't see what you see when you close your eyes at night. So stop expecting them to understand it. Stop waiting for validation from people who are afraid to chase their own dreams. If you keep letting small minds talk you out of big visions, you'll never discover how powerful you really are. I remember talking to someone who said, I really want to start this business, but what if people think I'm crazy? What if they laugh? And I said, they probably will until it works. And then they'll ask how you did it. People don't understand until success makes them notice. So stop wasting energy trying to convince them. Use that energy to build, to execute, to grow, because results silence doubt faster than words ever could. When you train yourself to be unbothered by opinions, you start operating from a different level of peace. You realize that most people's opinions are just reflections of their own limitations. When someone tells you, you can't do that, what they really mean is, I can't see myself doing that. Don't make their fears your boundaries. Don't let their disbelief become your truth. You've got to learn to listen to your own voice above all others. That voice that whispers, you're capable of more. That voice that pushes you when no one's watching. That's your truth. That's your compass. And if you can learn to trust it, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one agrees, you become unstoppable, because clarity breeds confidence, and confidence drowns out doubt. There will be moments when walking your path feels lonely, when it feels like no one gets it, when the people closest to you question your choices. But that's the price of growth. You're not meant to stay in the same circle forever. The more you grow, the more you outgrow environments that no longer match your energy. That's not isolation, that's elevation. Don't shrink your vision to fit their comfort zone. Expand your faith to match your potential. The world will always have opinions. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them watch. Because while they're busy talking, you'll be busy transforming. You'll be building habits, sharpening your mind, protecting your energy, and soon they'll look back and realize that the person they underestimated became the person they now admire. That's what happens when you stay focused on your vision instead of their voices. Every time you detach from someone's opinion, you reclaim your power. Every time you choose purpose over approval, you grow stronger. The goal isn't to prove them wrong. It's to prove yourself right. It's to wake up every day knowing you're walking your path, not someone else's. So don't chase validation, chase alignment. Don't seek to be liked. Seek to be real. Because when you detach from opinions and stay connected to your vision, you stop needing the world's approval and you start living from your own truth. Pain is a part of life. It's not a punishment, it's a teacher. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every setback you've ever faced has been shaping you, not breaking you. But most people spend their lives running from pain, trying to avoid discomfort at all costs. They numb it, deny it, or complain about it. And what they don't realize is that the pain they're trying to escape is actually the very thing that could transform them if they just leaned into it. You see, life doesn't give you pain to destroy you. It gives you pain to develop you. Growth never comes from comfort. You don't build strength in the moments where everything feels easy. You build it in the moments when it hurts, when you're tired, when you want to quit, but something inside you says, keep going. That's the moment your character is being forged. That's when you discover what you're really made of. When you start to train your mind to be unbothered, pain becomes your ally. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That one shift changes everything. Because now you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're a student of your growth. You're using the very thing that used to break you as fuel to build you. I've seen people take their worst heartbreaks, their biggest rejections, their deepest losses, and turn them into sources of incredible strength. Because when life pushes you down, it's not trying to bury you, it's trying to plant you. And if you can stay grounded long enough, you'll rise stronger, deeper, more rooted than before. The truth is, pain only defines you if you stop at the pain. But if you keep moving through it, it refines you. Think about it like this. A muscle doesn't grow by resting. It grows by being torn and rebuilt stronger. Your mind, your emotions, your spirit, they work the same way. Every challenge you face is resistance training for your soul. And the more you embrace it, the more powerful you become. So when life hits you hard, instead of asking, why me? Say, try me, because you've been through storms before and you've survived every single one of them. You have proof of your resilience. It's written in the scars you carry and the lessons you've learned. Pain isn't there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. It's preparing you for the next level of your life, the next version of yourself that can handle more, give more, lead more, love more. Every time you go through something tough, you expand your capacity. You become the kind of person who can stand in the middle of chaos and still choose calm, who can walk through fire and still come out with purpose. The difference between those who crumble under pressure and those who rise is perspective. Most people see pain as the enemy. The few master life see pain as feedback. Pain says something needs to grow, something needs to change. It's an invitation to evolve. And when you start seeing it that way, pain loses its power over you. You stop running from it. You start using it. There will be moments where it feels unfair, moments where it feels like the weight is too much. But that's where the transformation happens. In the moments you think you can't go any further and somehow you still do, that's when your spirit takes the lead. That's when the emotional noise fades and a quiet strength begins to rise inside you. That strength doesn't come from avoiding struggle. It comes from facing it head on and realizing it couldn't break you. The truth is, you can't train yourself to be unbothered without going through discomfort. It's the friction that creates the polish. It's the challenge that reveals your calm. You can read all the books, repeat all the affirmations, but until life tests you, you won't know how strong your peace really is. And those tests, they're not punishments. They're invitations. Invitations to choose who you want to be when things get hard. When you start to turn pain into power, everything changes. You stop dreading challenges and start appreciating them. You stop seeing failure as an ending and start seeing it as feedback. You stop allowing temporary discomfort to make permanent decisions. And most importantly, you stop being afraid of life's storms because you know storms create warriors. So when life hurts, breathe. When things fall apart, trust. When it feels unbearable, keep walking. Because one day you'll look back and realize that the pain you thought was breaking you was actually building the unshakable version of you that you were always meant to become. Energy is everything. It's your most valuable currency. Every thought, every emotion, every reaction is either a deposit or a withdrawal from your life's energy bank. The problem is most people spend it like they've got an unlimited balance. They pour energy into worry, into gossip, into negativity, into trying to control what they can't. And then they wonder why they feel drained, frustrated, and unfulfilled. You can't live a powerful life if you're constantly bankrupting your energy on things that don't matter. You have to start treating your energy like it's sacred. Because it is. Where your focus goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, your life grows. If you focus on problems, your problems expand. If you focus on growth, your possibilities expand. The question isn't whether you have energy. The question is where you're investing it. And most people are investing in emotional debts, holding grudges, replaying past pain, worrying about what might go wrong, or trying to fix people who aren't ready to change. That's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. The truth is, protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's smart. You can't give from an empty cup. You can't lead with strength if you're always running on fumes. You have to fill yourself first, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You have to decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't, because not everything does. Not every argument needs your response. Not every insult deserves your reaction. Not every distraction earns your attention. The moment you stop wasting energy on the meaningless, you create space for the meaningful. Think about the times in your life when you felt completely alive, when you were in flow, when you were unstoppable. That wasn't by accident. It was because your energy was aligned. You were focused on something that mattered. You were in control of your state. That's not luck, that's training. You trained your focus, you directed your power. That's what separates the reactive from the intentional, the ability to choose where your energy goes. Every emotion you experience is an energy state. Anger burns through your energy fast. Fear drains it. Guilt keeps it stuck. But gratitude, love, focus, and purpose, those expand it. You've met people who walk into a room and light it up, right? They radiate something. That's not magic. That's energy alignment. They've learned to guard their mental space, to feed their mind with what lifts them up, and to disconnect from what pulls them down. That's what you've got to start doing too, because the energy you carry becomes the experience you live. You can't control what happens every day, but you can control how you show up to it. You can't always predict the world, but you can always manage your state. And that's what being unbothered is all about, maintaining your inner energy no matter what the outer world throws your way. When someone tries to pull you into their drama, you can choose not to go. When life throws you a challenge, you can decide to meet it with calm instead of chaos. That's emotional wealth. The ability to stay rich in energy even when the world is trying to bankrupt you. I've seen people lose their peace over tiny things. Traffic, comments online, a mistake at work, and I've seen others face massive storms with grace and strength. The difference isn't what happened, it's how they manage their energy. The calm person knows that anger, frustration, and negativity are expensive emotions. They cost you focus. They cost you creativity. They cost you time. Every minute you spend being upset is a minute you can't spend building something meaningful. So ask yourself, where are you spending your energy every day? Are you investing it in growth, gratitude, and action? Or are you wasting it on comparison, doubt, and resentment? You can't build an extraordinary life with ordinary energy habits. You have to be intentional. You have to set boundaries. You have to know what drains you and what fuels you, and choose accordingly. There's power in learning to say no. No to overthinking. No to negativity. No to giving your energy to things that don't align with your purpose. Because every no to what drains you is a yes to what strengthens you. You start attracting peace, not because life gets easier, but because you stop paying attention to what used to disturb you. Energy doesn't lie. It's the reflection of your inner world. You can't fake calm. You can't fake focus. You can't fake power. You either build it or you leak it. And when you learn to guard your energy like the treasure it is, you start noticing that life feels lighter, clearer, stronger. You begin moving from reaction to creation, from exhaustion to expansion, from noise to flow. So protect your energy like it's your greatest investment, because it is. Spend it wisely, and it will build a life that feels as good as it looks. True power isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't need to shout, control, or dominate. Real power is calm. It's centered. It's peace. Because peace isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's the ability to stay grounded when everything around you is shaking. It's walking through chaos with a steady mind and an open heart. It's choosing not to let the noise of the world drown out the voice of your soul. When you reach that level of peace, you realize something profound. The world outside doesn't determine your world inside. People can misunderstand you, criticize you, or betray you, but they can't touch your inner peace unless you hand it to them. You start to see that peace is not something you find, it's something you create. It's a decision you make every day to stay centered no matter what happens. Most people are chasing control because they think control equals power, but control is fragile. The moment things don't go your way, it breaks. Peace, on the other hand, is unshakable. It's the space where you can see clearly, think deeply, and act wisely. It's the energy that allows you to lead, to love, and to live with purpose, even when life feels uncertain. When you operate from peace, you don't need to force outcomes. You attract them. You move differently. You speak differently. People can feel it. They sense your energy and they respect it, not because you demanded it, but because your calm commands it. You stop chasing validation and start radiating certainty. You stop fighting the world and start flowing with it. That's the paradox of power. The more peaceful you become, the more influence you have. Peace doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what's not yours. You stop carrying the weight of every opinion, every outcome, every worry. You stop trying to fix what isn't yours to fix. And when you do that, your energy shifts. You have space to breathe. You have clarity to decide. You have strength to act. That's what makes peace so powerful. It creates room for wisdom to rise. It's not that peaceful people never get angry or frustrated. They just don't live there. They experience it, they process it, and then they let it go. They don't build homes in emotional storms, because they understand that holding on to chaos only feeds more chaos. The longer you hold resentment, the heavier it becomes. The longer you hold anxiety, the smaller your world feels. But when you let go, when you choose calm over chaos, you reclaim your freedom. There's a kind of strength that can't be faked. The strength of someone who has faced storms and learned to stay still in the middle of them. That kind of peace doesn't come from avoiding challenges. It comes from facing them, learning from them, and realizing you don't have to react to everything that happens. You can stand tall, breathe deeply, and decide what deserves your energy. And here's what's powerful. When you stop reacting to chaos, chaos loses interest in you. When you stop feeding conflict, it fades. When you stop giving attention to negativity, it starves. The universe mirrors your energy. The more peace you embody, the more peace you attract. You become the calm in the room, the balance in the conversation, the clarity in confusion. That's why peace is the ultimate form of power, because it's not dependent on anything outside of you. It's not built on money, titles, or approval. It's built on self-awareness, discipline, and trust. It's built on knowing who you are so deeply that the noise can't shake your foundation. When you live from that place and you start being reactive and you start being intentional, you stop trying to survive life and you start creating it. When you train yourself to be unbothered, what you're really doing is training yourself to live in peace. And that peace is magnetic. It doesn't shout. It doesn't compete. It doesn't need attention. It simply is. It's that quiet confidence that says, I know who I am. I know what I'm here for. And nothing outside of me can change that. Because when you can stay calm in chaos, patient in uncertainty, and grateful in the middle of challenges, that's not just peace. That's power.